WWE Executive Chairman Vince McMahon is reportedly making changes to WWE promo wordings. We got details on that. Plus, did Seth Rollins walk out of Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 39 after that bizarre segment where he was going to cut a promo, then he didn't? Details on that. Plus, Night of Champions is returning and King and Queen of the Ring, that's going now as the pay-per-view has been rebranded in Saudi Arabia. Brock Lesnar versus Gunther at SummerSlam. There were rumors of it, but apparently it's not going to happen. Could Edge go to AEW after the expiration of his WWE contract later this year? An update on plans for tonight's edition of SmackDown on Fox. An update on the WWE Hiring Freeze. Is it official? Is it unofficial? Is there even a hiring freeze? We've got details on that. Plus, more details on when the WWE Draft is going to happen after Triple H made the announcement last week. Two big stars not advertised for SmackDown's return to Madison Square Garden. And how close was Dominic Wisteria to being sent down to NXT? Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of World Wrestling Entertainment. Let's start off talking about Vince McMahon. Yes, while he may not be at television making those sweeping changes like he did on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 39, he is making some changes, according to Dave Meltzer. This is quite an interesting story here. So, I'm starting to think that maybe Vince McMahon and Triple H weren't really telling the truth, let's say, when they said that Vince wouldn't have much impact on the creative side of WWE. However, since Vince McMahon, or should we say Vincenzo McMahon, returned, mustache and slick black hair and all, Vince appears to have had quite a lot of say in terms of what happens on his television shows. And according to the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, his influence is once again reaching his talent's promos. Writing in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer reports, quotes, McMahon is the one in charge of the company, so what he wants is what will happen, but at least for now, the creative team is going to mostly be in charge except for whatever Vince wants. Time will tell how deep that will be, but when it comes to the top of the card stuff, ultimately they are doing what he wants. But we do know some of the minor things on the show, including promo wordings that were changed this week, so the influence is there. Now, I, for one, am absolutely stunned by this news. I'm so stunned that maybe we should be taken, or I should certainly be taken, to a local medical facility. We saw that on Raw, didn't we, this past Monday? Since the Raw after WrestleMania, which McMahon took over because he was there, he's not been backstage at any shows, but he has been in creative meetings and made minor changes, but reportedly nothing major. Now, there were many big changes this past Monday night on Raw. That wasn't because of Vince McMahon, that was due to travel issues, but certainly as we get more and more closer to this merger of the WWE and UFC under the Endeavor umbrella being complete, it's going to be fascinating to see how many television tapings McMahon does attend. Now, this is a really fascinating story because it's something that has picked up steam but also then been debunked very quickly. Now, speaking on his podcast about Seth Rollins' fascinating promo on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 39, speaking on his Wrestling with Freddie podcast, Freddie Prinze Jr. and his co-host Jeff Dye discussed what they observed while at Raw after WrestleMania 39 during the segment with Seth freaking Rollins. With Dye saying first, quote, they played a commercial during his intro and then we could kind of hear him having a freak out on some production people. He was going, why is there a commercial? You couldn't really hear what he was saying. You could just tell he was mad. With Freddie Prinze Jr. adding, quotes, he said, what the hell is going on? I saw that coming out of his mouth. I think he was more pissed than pissed at them. I think he was pissed when he went backstage at whoever did that. But if I was him, I would have been just as angry. And I thought the way he dealt with it was so hardcore and awesome. Instead of cutting a promo, he just throws the mic out of the ring and walked out of the friggin' show. While Rollins was previously advertised to appear as planned at the subsequent week's Monday Night Raw in Seattle, he did not appear. However, he was not listed as one of the stars experienced traveling issues preventing attendance, but ultimately we don't know. But that's led to some people suggesting, does that mean that Seth Rollins is frustrated? Does that mean Seth Rollins is going to be leaving? Does that mean Seth Rollins is unhappy in WWE? Well, to just put any rumors to rest, Seth Rollins is not going anywhere when it pertains to WWE. According to WRKD Wrestling, they have said, quote, Seth Rollins currently has no plans to leave the WWE. They would further explain that, quote, one of the driving points is the amount of time he gets to spend with his family while on the road, and he isn't looking to change that. Of course, Rollins and Becky Lynch are both currently on the Raw brand, so Rollins isn't going anywhere. He was probably just, like a lot of people that night, very frustrated with a lot of last-minute changes and nobody really knowing what was going on, even while he was making his way to the ring, and they were live on the air. This is interesting too, because we thought we were getting a King and Queen of the Ring premium live event in Saudi Arabia in May, but not so much, and we're certainly not going to get one, at least as of planned, this year. Anything could happen though. Back in March, WWE announced that on May 27, live from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, it's all happening in Jeddah, all hail, before making its King and Queen of the Ring event official. Thursday evening though, yesterday, WWE announced a change of plans. The May 27th premium live event in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia will now be WWE Night of Champions, the official WWE account tweeted. That said, there's no word yet on whether or not the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments or perhaps the finals will take place that night or be moved. In February, it was reported that WWE was looking to bring back the tournaments in May, 3 weeks after the Backlash Premium Live event took place in San Juan, Puerto Rico. From 1993 to 2002, the King of the Ring was largely its own event, but its significance waned over the past 20 years. That was until 2021, when at WWE Crown Jewel, Xavier Woods defeated Finn Balor to become the new king, while Queen Zelina defeated, or shall I say Zelina Vega became Queen Zelina by defeating Piper Niven, then known as Doudrop, in the first ever Queen's Crown Tournament final. Not that ultimately it meant anything at all. What has remained throughout was the likelihood of the event taking place in Saudi Arabia, where to this date WWE has run 8 premium live events. That is still the case going forward, despite the rebranding for the evening. At the time when King and Queen of the Ring tournament rumors began to swirl, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund were still reportedly having a definite interest in purchasing WWE. However, it was announced earlier this month that WWE had been acquired by Endeavor and will be merged with the UFC. Now, when it comes to any possible reasons for this name change, WWE, as I mentioned, hasn't given an official explanation for the change, but PW Insider has reported what it had heard from their sources. According to the report, the change is a creative choice to revive Night of Champions name and bring it to an international market. Very businessy, that, isn't it? There's no word yet on what this means for the status of the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments that obviously would have culminated at the event. Night of Champions historically had its own unique concept when it was around from 2007 to 2015, in which that every main roster championship would be defended on the show. As was pointed out after the announcement, they may have a bit of an interesting scenario when it comes to this Night of Champions event, because the tag team championships, which are currently held by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, neither of whom traveled to Saudi Arabia. So you'd think either the rule of every title being defended will have to be relaxed, or Owens and Zayn could lose the titles sometime before May 27. We're not sure. Now, there is a draft plan to take place between Backlash and Night of Champions, so perhaps there's a chance that the tag titles will become separated again instead of being one undisputed title or something like that. Either way, we'll keep you planned what the plans. We'll keep you updated as to what the plans are. There have been some rumors that around that time, Roman Reigns is hitting 1,000 days as Universal Champion, so it could be a night of the champion. Therefore, it's a big celebration for him. Maybe that's what's going to happen as well. Now, one match a lot of people were excited at possibly seeing later on this year, because rumors had suggested it could happen, was Gunther versus Brock Lesnar. Despite being a penciled-in match for WrestleMania 39 at one point, the Intercontinental Champion Gunther did not face Brock Lesnar at the 2-night WrestleMania Premium Live event earlier this month. Previous reporting had stated that it felt that the Austrian still needs another year to be established as a top name on the roster before he's ready for a showcase match with Lesnar. Brock Lesnar has, however, also commented on the potential of what many see as a dream match. According to Dave Meltzer, it is a dream match that we will not be seeing very soon. Writing the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Meltzer reports, quotes, "Right now, there are no plans for Lesnar versus Gunther at SummerSlam or Lesnar versus Gunther anytime soon." Of course, that can change because it is a viable match, but if Lesnar is scheduled on SummerSlam, there is already a direction that isn't Gunther. WRKD Wrestling had recently floated or reported that the idea had been floated backstage for Lesnar and Gunther to face off sometime this summer, but I guess it's not going to be happening because there is already a plan for Brock at the biggest event of the summer for WWE. Now, there have been some weird rumors and speculation going on that Edge could jump to AEW. Now, you might say, Owen, where on earth is this coming from? Well, it comes from the logic that Edge is planning to retire this year. His contract is up this year, and he and Christian want to team together once again before both right off into the sunset. Now, can that happen in WWE? Well, Christian's currently tied down to a long-term AEW contract, we think. So if it were to happen, it might have to happen in All Elite Wrestling. So is there a chance we could see the Rated R superstar jump to AEW? Of course, AEW was the company that offered him a contract prior to returning to WWE as an in-ring competitor in early 2020. Now, an update has emerged on Edge's potential retirement plans. Amid speculation, he could leave WWE for AEW ahead of him hanging up his boots. It was recently pointed out that Edge has previously discussed plans to retire this year after his WWE contract expires. With Edge wanting to end his career in Toronto, many have called for the Rated R superstar to reunite with AEW's Christian Cage for at least one of his final matches. It has been speculated that Edge will join AEW following his WWE deal expiring so that he and Christian can wrestle together. Per WrestleVotes, WWE is not expecting Edge to make the jump to AEW, even with Christian in the other company. Quote, if he retires the summer in Toronto, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes his current deal and then goes to AEW. WWE, I would be surprised rather. It would be good if we had some pronunciation on this. I would be surprised if he finishes his current deal and then goes to AEW. WWE would be surprised too. Even though you've got the Christian factor, you know, they could team one more time, wrestle each other one more time. I'd be surprised if he wrestles past WWE. WWE would be very surprised as well. So WWE, they don't think that's going to happen, but never say never, I guess, in the world of pro wrestling. Now, next we're going to get into some potential spoilers for SmackDown. So if you don't want to be spoiled, skip ahead. We do have some plans for SmackDown this evening on Fox. Now, one thing we do know is SmackDown is going to feature the return of Shinsuke Nakamura. In addition to that, we're going to have the latest segment or chapter, I guess, in the Bloodline saga. The Bloodline story entered its latest chapter at WrestleMania 39 when the Usos were defeated for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in Night 1's main event. Following their loss, tensions have been building among the Bloodline, starting on the Raw after WrestleMania when Paul Heyman lied to the Usos about Roman Reigns being in his locker room. Per WRKD Wrestling, tensions between Jey Uso and the Wise Man are set to continue to rise even further during tonight's edition of SmackDown. WRKD Wrestling also says that while Reigns will not be on tonight's show, he will eventually have his say on the escalated tensions between Jey and Heyman. The Bloodline have been appearing on both Raw and SmackDown since WrestleMania, feuding with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and the returning Matt Riddle. The feud is seemingly leading to a six-man tag team match between the teams at Backlash in Puerto Rico. In addition to that, as I mentioned, Shinsuke Nakamura is set to make his return to WWE television on tonight's episode of SmackDown. Nakamura has not competed on WWE TV since his WWE World Cup first-round defeat to Santos Escobar back on November 11. He was most recently in action at Pro Wrestling Noah's New Year show, taking on the Great Muta in a special singles match. Per Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, we now know his first feud being planned for Nakamura upon his return to SmackDown. Nakamura is reportedly set to begin a feud with Karrion Kross on tonight's show, with the company having a Nakamura tarot card produced for the segment. So expect Karrion Kross, I guess, to confront the former NXT champion. There had been a story recently about a hiring freeze going on in WWE, and that's why the likes of Jay White and Brian Cage hadn't signed with World Wrestling Entertainment. During the Triple H era, it felt like every few weeks we would see a familiar face return to WWE. Some of the names who came back to the company over the summer include Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, and Karrion Kross. However, this seems to have slowed down in recent months. Some linked this decrease in hiring due to the recent news about WWE's sale, while others suggest that Vince McMahon regaining an aspect of control in the company would have impacted the company's willingness to bring new talent in. However, Dave Meltzer has noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that there is no freeze on the company's hiring policy, with their current stance on new talent being regarded business as usual. Quote, there is also no hiring freeze, as has been reported in many places. WWE is still business as usual when it comes to hiring and in talks with new significant performers. So according to Meltzer, there is no hiring freeze or anything like that. But in fairness, the previous reports did say it was more of an unofficial hiring freeze because nobody's been signed for the main roster since the beginning of the year, and we're 4 months into the year at this point. The report notes that WWE are in talks with new talent, though it's currently unclear who exactly is being referred to here, with it being possible that it could represent outside talent or those scouted by WWE's recruitment program as well. Either way, we'll keep you updated if we get any information as to who Meltzer is referring to. Now, the draft is coming very, very soon, and we may now know exactly when it's going to happen. For a while now, we have seen both Raw and SmackDown superstars pop up on the opposite brand, especially during the lead up to WrestleMania. There were many marquee feuds pitching stars stars from Raw against those from SmackDown. Many felt as if the separation of WWE's red and blue brands was slowly coming to an end, but on the April 7 edition of SmackDown, Triple H came down to the ring and announced the next installment of the WWE Draft. Crucially though, the game didn't confirm when this would take place, only stating that it would come in a few weeks. Now, as written in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer has revealed that the most likely date for the draft is May 8th, the Raw following Backlash, though this is not 100% confirmed. Quote, the date going around was May 8th in Jacksonville, but nobody has confirmed that date to us. This was a name that was put out there previously, or date rather that was put out there previously, so that might be when the draft does indeed happen. Now, WWE, specifically SmackDown, is set to make their return to Madison Square Garden on July 7. WWE tends to stack big episodes of television for MSG, with many of the company's top stars appearing on the show. But per PW Insider, the first names for WWE's return to MSG have been advertised, with some notable omissions. The first is current undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, with the other being Drew McIntyre, who is yet to re-sign with the company with his contract set to expire later this year. The names that are currently advertised for the show are Rhea Ripley, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, Gunther, The Usos, Solo Sikoa, Braun Strowman, Sheamus, The New Day, Ricochet and LA Knight. Of course, card subject of change and plans can always change, so it's not a confirmation of anything. But as of right now, two big names in Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre that could sell tickets, not advertised for the show, interestingly. Finally, people have been raving about Dominic Wisteria's performance this year, or really ever since he turned heel last year. But what's quite interesting is that he nearly ended up in NXT, and this is whilst he was on the main roster. Dominic Wisteria's feud with his father Rey Mysterio has seen the pair face each other at WrestleMania 39, with the animosity showing little sign of subsiding. The WWE Hall of Famer has recently suggested a mask versus hair match as a potential way of bringing the feud to an end. Plans could have worked out very different, however, according to Dave Meltzer in the current Wrestling Observer newsletter, who writes, quote, while there is no chance of this happening now, before the decision to start the Rey vs. Dominic program, there was serious thought given to sending Dominic to NXT. Meltzer wouldn't reveal what the plans were if Dominic did end up being there, but as of right now, he's one of the most over heels in the company, so I think they made the right call. But there you go, guys, this is the latest WWE news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.